Hello friends, welcome to my channel Sushant Chesswise. Today we are at the next topic, that is how to get attack from the openings. We are going to look at an opening which will get us into an attacking position. This line is against the Sicilian defense. Let's start the game quickly. E4, C5 and white goes NC3. In this game G6, Bg7 was played first, then on third move black played C5. So the move order was E4, G6, NC3, Bg7, F4, then C5. So we get this position F4, Bg7 and white goes NF3. So in open Sicilian, white does NF3 and D4. Here this is a part of closed Sicilian. If white plays closed Sicilian, then generally he goes NF3, G3, Bg2 or G3, Bg2 and NE2. The line which we are going to see is the dynamic one, attacking one. White plays NF3, BC4 and tries to launch attack on the black king side. Especially F7 is the focal point of attack. Pieces soon try to transfer to the king side. This Grand Prix attack is played by many strong players, including Vishwanathan Anand. We can find his games and he has played against grandmasters. So at a very stronger level he has played that opening. So we are going to see a basic game, a game of much lower level today. First, let us get and try to grasp the ideas. White goes NF3, black goes NC6, bishop C4. Black played A6, idea B5. Generally this A6 is met by the move A4, stopping B5. Black goes for the main move E6 here. D6, NF6 is another option. E6, castle, NE7. Black intends to go D5. This is one of his main ideas. White has to play the very important move Queen E1. This happens to be one of the most important moments for the time being. It's a very important part of strategy, a transition phase here from opening to the middle game. White is trying to have two things in mind. One, this D5 move has to be stopped for some time. That is one thing in mind. Secondly, white doesn't want to trade the queens. See, had he played D3 here itself, then after D5, what white doesn't want, let us see. One, he doesn't want is ED, when this F pawn remains alone. So playing F5 will become impossible. So white will not be able to break the center and get the open F5. Point 1. Second, if queen remains on D1, then after DD, QD1, the queens get traded. So that is the reason white first plays Queen E1, stops the move D5 right now. Instantly D5 allows ED5, ED5 and just see knight takes D5. The E7 knight is pinned. So this is the main point. So black goes castle first and now only white goes D3. This time D5 will be met by simply BB3, not fearing DD. Queens won't get traded. White wants to keep the queen. DD happens to be the main line, which we will definitely cover in some other games. My aim is to show you at least 5-6 games of every opening or every variation which will get us into attacking positions. And it's not that we are going to look at only the bad lines. The bad lines are used as analysis to prove one's idea. Okay, but we need to know the main variations as well. Like this is the main variation here, and see black instead of the main moves knight d4 or de4 chose the much worse d4 here. So this move will show us the idea why d4 is premature here, why closing the center is not good at this stage. See, the knight gets attacked, but after knight e2 we will note that the b3 bishop becomes more dangerous. And white's plan, the standard one, see white wants this queen h4, f5, bh6, knight g5, swap on g7 and mate on the h7 square. This is what white is looking at through this setup. And getting this will become easier because black has closed the center. So what happens when the center is closed, opponent's play on the side becomes very easy. He doesn't have to bother about the exchanges D and the deflections created by the opponent. So that is the main reason. So let me show you some cases here. If black goes rook b8, idea b5 and all, we will already see that white's play is very quick. f5, e takes f5, qh4, and after the move fe4, we will see that knight g5 and it's game over. Because now see h6 forced, and now see knight takes f7, rook takes f7 and both bf7 and rook f7 very strong. There is a threat of discovered check, and the other problem is, let's say after move like kh7, qh6 wins on the spot. After kh8, rook g7 wins very easily, or even the move bishop h6, both are winning. Thus the idea f5 we will see soon is going to become unstoppable. Black goes with the move e5. Maybe he wants to use the e5 square after fe knight e5. Black intends to use the square perhaps, but also maybe he wants to open the c8 bishop, but he is allowing the f7 square to become more weak. It's coming in the range of both rook and the bishop. It's becoming a focal point of attack. White can go with the move f5 also, very interesting. gf, ef, bf5, the bishop sits on g6, then the attack will be slowed down. After gf, queen h4 is an option. White chose to keep the position like this only for some time, and he went with the move qh4. This gives more options. ef would allow bf4, and f5 or fe will be optional for white. Black goes qc7. It's already a very tricky position now. If black goes h6 and tries to stop ng5, then the move f5 is instantly crushing, because see, first threat is f6. Secondly, bishop takes h6 is a threat. To avoid both, g5 is the forced move. But see, once two pawns move in front of castled position, as we have discussed several times, see the demolition of pawn cover. Bishop g5, hg, knight g5, threatening mate on h7, rook e8 forced, and here both nf7 and bf7 win easily. See, bf7 check, king f8, and very strong, the bishop retreat threatens nh7 or qh5, and white should win very easily. Also there is the threat of f6. After qc7, white instantly goes knight g5. He saw that f7 is the point of attack, and he begins a combination. Black goes h6, almost forced, and here comes nf7. White is ready to part his two pieces for the rook and a couple of pawns. Let's see what happens. In fact, he gets 3 pawns. So rook f7, instant fe allows knight e5 and the knight to protect f7. So bf7 check, kf7, f takes e5 check, and now see, king is in trouble. King goes back to g8 and bishop h6. This is what the white player saw. This is position from one of my students' game. It's an online game and both players are around 1900 strength. And we can make out, see, this position is about to crumble now. Perhaps the best chance was to go with the move queen e5 over here, when white can either take bg7 and then double the rooks on the f5. The f7 point will be accessible to him. The knight is heading to f4 as well. Black actually blundered with bh6. Let's look at the other two moves. See, there is bishop e5. Bishop e5 loses instantly. There comes rook f8 check, kh7. Any bishop move wins actually, because after kg7, queen h6 mates if the bishop is there. If bishop would have been given on g7, then queen h8 would have mated as well. After knight takes c5, there is a very interesting finish. Bishop takes g7, king takes g7, queen f6 check, king h7, and a very strong rook f4. White wants to double the rooks, and first the threat is the rook h4 followed by mate on h8. Only move g5. When after queen takes g5, we see that knight 7 g6 forced, and here if white wants, white can go with the move rook f4. He can also save the rook with rook f6. This position is winning for white. Bishop takes h6, queen h6, and this position is winning for white. There was only try, that was the move bg4, attacking the knight and stopping mate on f8. This would have been the very interesting position actually, but white wins by force. We will see how. Unfortunately in the game, black played queen e5, and after rook f8 he got mated. Let's see what happens to bg4. The move is little difficult to find, but if we understand that the squares f7 and f8 both are weak, and f7 is defended by king, we can't deflect the king, so white brings new piece in the attack with e6, very strong. See, if bishop takes e2, then rook f7, and these multiple threats are unstoppable. Rook g7, qh7, qg7. So the only move bishop e6, and see, white uses Knight f4, not only attacking the bishop but also the g6 pawn. Only move bf7, supporting or protecting both. And now comes the very strong knight h3. No defense to knight g5 followed by qh7. Only there is a try with the move queen e5, which falls one move short. Knight g5, qg7 forced, protecting the mate, and see queen g7, kg7, and rook f7. Exchange and couple of pawns down, plus the a rook coming to f1 means it's game over for black. Although it was not good play by black, but we can see how the white's attack can become very forceful. This was the purpose of this lesson. As I said, in future we will have more games from this opening. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks for your time.